Welcome back to Julie's Wreath Boutique. Today we're going to make a flower on an 8-inch wreath form. And this form is that raised kind of new look of a wreath form, so I will let you know where I bought it in this video. But I love these blues together. They just scream summer and the beach and something bright and cheery, and I love it. So make sure you're subscribed. Watch till the end because I do give you some tips kind of midway through of things I might have done differently. So let's get started. Okay, so as you know, I do a lot of these videos and I kind of show you guys what I'm going to do, and I don't always know what I'm going to do at the beginning. That's this instance, okay? But that's all right. I know the direction I want to go, and sometimes I change it a little bit. Sometimes I add a different color. Sometimes I add a different center. I want to show you a really neat little trick. What we're going to do is we are going to use these 8-inch. These are the new version of the 10-inch frame. The Wreath Shop and Trendy Tree have had these in stock. And if they don't have them in stock right now, check back again because they will. I usually have the links for these specific frames in my link below. But I do know that the Wreath Shop does have some of these as of May the 5th, okay? So these are the 8-inch frames. So you could make this wreath on an 8-inch form. Now you could use one that you got from like Joann's, Michael's, any local craft store that has them. You're just going to use them the same way, but this will just add a little bit more dimension than those frames because those are a little bit, I want to say flatter is a good word for it. So we're going to use these 8-inch frames. Link is in the description box below. I'm going to use these two colors of blue, this turquoise and this like bright royal blue. These are some of my favorite summer colors together. I think you can't go wrong. I might even add some yellow poly burlap and some of the lime green for leaves. I just think it'll make it really pop. So we've got stuff to do here and I'm going to show you. And you're probably wondering, what is that over there, Julie? Well, this is just $8. This is like old and dingy, but this is just a little tip. And I've showed you guys this in other videos, and I thought I'm just going to share it one more time. You get a wooden dowel from like Walmart or anywhere. You clip it with your wire cutter. It cuts really easy, and you just go through the holes, and voila, you have a mesh holder, okay? This really only works for the 10-inch mesh, but this works well for me, okay? Because I don't have a lot of space and I'm constantly changing different meshes, okay? So this I learned from one of my members of my group, Wreath Creators and More, years ago. It was such a great little idea. I can't remember her name. If I did, I would mention you. But I just wanted to share that kind of like a $2 hack, because these little dowels are very inexpensive. So let's get started in cutting our mesh. Okay, so I have my glass cutting board over my rotary mat. I'm not sure if that's the right name for that, but that's what I call it. And I have my wood burner over there. All those links are going to be in the description box below. This is what I do, and I pretty much do this in every episode of Julie's Wreath Boutique, is I cut using a wood burner. We're going to cut it at 10 inches. I'm going to cut, let me think, I'm going to cut at least 8 for the outside, and then I'm going to cut another 8. So I'm going to cut at least 16 of these. Now, it's important to always stay towards the end because I always have a final count on how many petals you're going to need. And I'll probably be able to tell you if you have a 10-inch or a 12-inch I kind of roughly estimated what you need. So what you're going to do for poly burlap, remember to wear your mask, take your wood burner, and you're going to cut in between the lines at 10 inches. And that's all you're going to do. So I'm going to cut about 16 of these, and I believe I'm going to cut about 16 of the turquoise as well. Okay, so part of this technique we're going to use is the Dean Michael Daisy Petal, but I'm going to show you how to do the fused Dean Michael Daisy Petal design. So basically you would take a piece of mesh and you're going to measure the top daisy petal that you want to use. You're going to measure it at 11 inches. You're going to cut a nice straight line. Again, if you don't want to fuse this, you don't have to do it. You can cut it at 10 inches and just use the original petal, okay? But I'm going to do it this way to kind of show you this kind of fused petal technique of mine. I make sure that the bottom and the top finished edges are here. I layer it over, and that's where you're going to have your excess here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to fuse this top layer with this finished layer underneath. I've done this in at least 2 of my videos, I believe now. And this fusing mesh I came up with, oh, quite a while ago, maybe about 18 months ago or so, maybe even 2 years ago. I'm not really sure, but it's just a new way to kind of, number one, add dimension to the mesh, add a different pattern to your mesh, and to help with the fraying, okay? This is just a new technique that I've developed, and you're gonna see a lot of smoke coming up. That's why you need to wear a mask, okay? So when I cut these, I'm gonna cut 16 at least of these. Okay, so the next step is you're gonna take your 8-inch frame, you're gonna take some plastic canvas mesh, and you're going to make a circle around here, cut it out, and attach it on top of this frame right here, this inside frame, okay? I've showed this many times. You're just going to use some zip ties and attach it, and you're good to go. You can find this at places like the Wreath Shop and Trendy Tree. You can also find this maybe in your local craft store by the yarn and embroidery section. I like this 5 count. It's a little bit bigger. It's a little bit bigger squares. What Trendy Tree and the Wreath Shop carry is the bigger square mesh as well. So I'm going to put that in, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to try this again. I know that I have most of the wreath already done, so you're going to kind of see almost it finished on the first row. I keep recording it and my phone keeps shutting it off. So I did a few things with my phone. Yes, I record everything with my phone. So if you ever want to do a YouTube channel, if you have a good phone, you can use that to make videos, okay? Little side note, little YouTube tip, okay? But what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the basic petal technique, and we're going to combine that with the Dean Michael design technique with my added fused technique with that. So basically take your blue and you're going to meet it in the middle. You're going to gather, flip it over, and if you've been watching me for a long time, you know this is my basic petal. I like to take these little chip clip is what I call them, and I get them from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to hold it and let it sit there. I'm going to take one of my petals that I've already prepped with that fused technique, and I'm going to bend one side over, and then I'm just going to start gathering it, okay? And then bend the other side over. So what I like to do at this point is take my chip clip off, lay it over top that daisy petal, and now I have like a combination petal. Now, you can do one of 2 things. You could take another zip tie and you could connect this if that's easier for your hands, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to grab it because I have a good grasp of it. I'm going to work on row 2. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to work on this row. I'm going to go over to the bracket. I'm going to put the zip tie there, and then I'm going to attach this zip tie to my petal, okay? And basically what this is doing is it's giving us like a double layer of petals, and we're skipping a step. And I just like the look of it. I did a wreath called a winter wreath, a winter flower wreath a long time ago, about a year or so ago. I forget, they all run into each other. But this is going to be our summer one. So we're going to put one here, and we're going to put one here. I'm going to show it to you one more time to make sure you know what you're doing. So we're going to take another piece of mesh here, meet in the middle, going to gather, flip it over, and then just lay it over slightly, the top over the left. Going to take another one of my prepped petals here, and let's move this over. I'm going to go bend this over just a little bit, just the way I like to do it. I like to bend that one over a little bit and then finish that petal off. I'm going to take it over here and place it on top of each other. Again, if you want to use a zip tie, you can if you have problems with your hands. And I'm getting there, guys. I have tendonitis in my hands, so it's just like years and years of making wreaths. So anyway, so I'm just going to put that zip tie right underneath of that bar there, and I'm going to attach it. All right, so what I like to do is I like to make sure that this finished edge is over the raw edge there. So I want to make sure that that's the right spot. So I'm going to move this over just a little bit. And basically I'm going to put one right here. So that was a total of 8 petals. So I'm going to put one here, and then we're going to work on the second part. Okay, so we have all of those around. So now we're going to add our second layer, and what we're going to do is we're going to work on bar 3, and we're just simply going to repeat this step again. So what we did here, we're going to do here, and I have already made one up. So you can see if you already make it up, it does make it a little bit easier. You are going to use 2 zip ties, but it's really up to you. And I'm just going to simply attach it to bar 3, okay? That's it. So I'm going to cut that. And then I'm going to grab another one that I made. And we're going to go right there. And you're just going to go around your wreath. Now, if you wanted to use a 10-inch, so I'll be using 16 sets of this. Now, a 10-inch typically has 5 sections, so that would be an extra, I think, 4 petals. So I would have like 20 petals for that. And then if you worked with a 12-inch, then you would have another extra section, and again, another extra 2. So I would think about 22 petals would get you around. I could be wrong on that, so don't quote me on my math. Math was never my strong suit in high school. So anyways, but I'm just trying to give you kind of an idea if you want to make this wreath on a bigger frame, but this is an 18 or an 8-inch frame. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make more, and we're going to put them each between these with a total of 8 around, and then we'll be back. Okay, so we have our second layer on. It's really coming together. There's one thing that I would do differently if I was to make this wreath over, and I'm going to show you. Okay, so this is what I would do differently. In the beginning, I told you to put that plastic canvas on the inside layer here, the bar 4, okay? What I would do differently if I did this again, but this is still going to turn out beautifully, I promise. I would probably make the canvas fit on this one, guys. I would do it a little differently. I'd have the canvas a little higher up, simply because I have double petals here. So they're a little bit thicker than the normal petal. Now, since I didn't do that, I'm going to work with what I have. But this is just a tip. I would have put it on this rim, okay? So let's just keep that in mind. Maybe you won't want to do it after you see how it looks. But I like to give you tips and options, because sometimes things might work easier for you if you had it a different way. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, it might be easier, but what's going to happen is we're going to put these other petals down on this canvas mesh, and it is going to make it more voluminous. I don't know if that's even the right pronunciation, but I'm not your English teacher. So anyway, so let's get started on the last row of petals. So we're going to take 4 of these pre-made petals. I've already got them assembled here, just like this, all right? Because you know the drill, you know the technique. There's no need to show you again. What I want to do is I want to put 4 petals in the middle. So if this was a 10-inch wreath, I would say 5 petals. If it was a 6-inch wreath, I would say 6 petal sets. So what I want to do is I'm going to put the petal down just slightly lower than the last part of your petal here, okay? So you're looking at, about 1.25 inches in. So I'm going to put it right here. This way it covers all of the zip ties, okay? And we still have room on this side too. Now, I'm going to do this. If you added that piece of mesh higher up, you could do a different petal. You could just do daisy petals if you want. But we're going to just keep going with this petal combination that we're doing here. So I'm going to put one there, and I'm going to try to keep this pretty symmetrical, if that's the right word. I'm going to go to the opposite side here, and I want to lay it to the opposite side, because this has a wider wingspan, so to speak. So we're going to lay that one on that side, and we're going to make sure that it goes down, okay? So now we're going to put one here and one on this side. So I'll look. So that way our wings are, I know they're not wings, they're petals, Julie. But now I'm thinking of birds. So we want them to be touching, okay? This finished side is going to go over that side. All right, and now I'm going to lay one on the other side here. Okay, so when I look at this wreath, I don't think I want the petals to go all the way around. I want them to kind of go off to this side up here and kind of down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to gently flip this over. All right, and we are just going to work on petals at an angle. So we're going to do 4 pieces of the green poly burlap. It's like the lime green, I believe. And we are going to make just the basic petal here, okay? I'm going to put 1, and I'm just going to add it right underneath that frame. It's a little bit of a handful here. Come on. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to take a zip tie, and I'm going to slide that zip tie underneath. I probably should have put the zip tie on first, but I didn't. That's okay. Okay. And if you want just 1 to be enough, that's fine. I'm going to put 1 more though, right there. I'm going to make another layer. So I'm just going to add this right here and make 1 more of the same single petal fold here. Okay. And I want to lay it right underneath, and if you put it in sideways and then turn it, it should be just fine for you. And then add that zip tie that I already put down like I should have before. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here on this side. Okay, so what are we going to use for the middle of this wreath? There's several things you can do. You could use a rope center, and you could do different centers from different flowers that I've made in the past. Use your imagination. What I wish I could find is like a yellow solid rope, but unfortunately I still haven't been able to find anything like that. And sometimes some types of ropes are too small, and it's really hard to use with your hands. So, and a glue gun. So what I'm going to do is, the Wreath shop has this flex tubing, and if Trinity Tree has it too, I'll look there as well. But this is just a natural color. Years ago, they used to sell a yellow color, and it was really pretty, and I wish they still sold it, but I don't even think they make it anymore. But we're going to put like a natural color center in here to kind of give it a natural feel. So the way we're going to do that is, this is just kind of some leftover, so I'm just going to clip my clip here. Is we're going to take some plastic canvas mesh. You could take one of these little coasters. We don't need it to be quite this big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a template out of this one, and we're going to make it a little bit smaller because you really don't need it to be big. So I'm going to make a template here, and this can be done for any size wreath, okay? So what you're going to do is I think this is good right here. Let's see, and that went from like a 4.5 inch to about a 3 inch in diameter. Okay, so that was just a coaster. Or you could take the plastic canvas if you have some of this left over, and you could just cut about a 3 inch diameter as well. So what you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, that looks about right, because our mesh or our tubing is going to go beyond that circle. So let's use this since we already have it cut. And I would recommend using like the 4 inch zip ties, but I'm all out, so I'm going to have to use my 8 inch, and that's okay. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to throw it on the ground because I need it to unravel, because it does like to twist around. And I've showed you guys this in the past, but I haven't done this in a very long time. So I figured I will show you guys how to do this really quick, and we will make a center, and it's what I called my seated center. This was like the 3rd or 4th video I ever did on YouTube, and I will leave that link down below. It's for a bigger section, so if you had like a sunflower or whatever, you could fill it all up, but we're just going to use a little one. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your jute tubing, and you're going to wrap around your 4 fingers here once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 6 times, okay? You can do it more, you can do it less, it's up to you. And I'm going to take that, and I'm going to pinch it in the middle, all right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a zip tie, and I'm going to go through, just one of these, wherever I can find a spot, all right? And then I'm going to go down, back in the center here, okay? And I'm going to move this over to the middle there, and we're going to pull it down. Now, you could use pipe cleaners. You could cut pipe cleaners and use those as well. I just kind of like doing this. Is just easy. I'm not twisting a lot with my hands. So I'm going to cut that. So now I'm going to take, and you can kind of move it around too. So what our goal is we want it to kind of stick up like that. So right now it's a little flat. So I'm going to focus on making one in this direction, but the opposite. Instead of going this way, we're going to go this way. So we're going to wrap our fingers again. You can see how much room I give you there. So you got about an inch there. And you're going to wrap it about 4 times. See how it gets a little twisted. 4 or 6 times, I should say. I'm going to grab it. So 1 end is coming this way and 1 end should be coming the other direction. Okay, do you see that? All right. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this directly behind this one so that it'll start standing up. So I'm going to take my zip tie again, and I'm going to just go through, find a spot, doesn't matter. We're not going to see these zip ties once we get all of these little loops around, okay? And then I'm going to go back through, and then you're just going to attach your zip tie. Just make sure it's kind of even and it's not lopsided. So that looks good. All right, I'm gonna pull that. Again, if you had the smaller ones, use the smaller ones and you're not wasting as much. But I need to order some. Okay, so I'm just kind of looking at it. All right, so I'm gonna bring this around. And I'm going to put one right here. You're just going to simply work your way around your little mesh. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's almost done. So that's good. And you're just going to, let's say that works right there. And you're just going to keep making the loops and attaching them to your mesh here. And as you can see, I need to start over. They have like, usually have like 3 strands and they're 30 yards. Is that right? 30 yards or 30 feet? I think it's 30 feet. I think it's 10 yards. I can't remember. So I'm just going to attach. Okay. So what I plan on doing is I'm just going to keep going around and filling it. So when I get around here, it'll force this up and it'll be a nice round center. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I have my center done. As you can see, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 loops, you know, the handfuls of loops. And you're just going to, whenever you have an ending, you're just going to clip it off. So I'm going to just take a wire and I just try to find that center one that I started with. And I'm just going to put my wire down over top of that start into the mesh. Okay, so you're going to pull it down. All right, because when it comes together, you're not going to see it. And then I'm just going to find a spot where I can grab it to the canvas that's on the bottom of this frame and pull it through. Oh, there we go. All right. So the key is to cover everything in the middle. You could use some yarn if you wanted to, some like chunky yarn, but make sure it doesn't get wet. If it gets wet, then it's just gonna kind of fall apart and it might mold too. So we don't want that to happen on your wreath. So I'm just going to twist it in the back here. And then I just like to put my wires back into the wreath frame. So at this point, what would I do with the back of the wreath? Well, I took a piece of felt, I will poke holes in it, and I will attach this with zip ties, okay? It's really simple to do. It's nothing that is too difficult. Let me find, you're just gonna take your sharp scissors, and I like these. And again, I don't have the shorter zip ties, so I'm gonna use my longer one. And you're just going to attach it to the wreath frame so that you can still hang this wreath from any point on the wire wreath frame. I really like wire wreath frames and I like these. They're inexpensive and they're very sturdy. So that's why I use them. So I'm going to go around and do this all the way around. Okay, so I'm really happy with how it turned out. You're looking at about a 21-inch to 22-inch in diameter wreath with an 8-inch frame. If you use a 10-inch frame, I would say about 23 inches, a little bit under. And then with a 24-inch, I would say around 25 inches, okay? So let's talk about how many petal sections we did. We did 3 rows altogether, okay? So the first 2 rows, we did at least 16 petal sections. And then we added another 4 on top. So total for this wreath, okay, I used 20 of the kind of royal blue and I used 20 of this turquoise color, okay? So 20 sets all together. That's a total of 40 petals, all right, that you would need to cut from each roll. I also think that if you were to use it on a 10-inch frame, I think that you would look about, I want to say about 22 sets of petals, so that would be 44 cuts all together. And then for a 12-inch frame, I want to say 24 to 26, okay, sets of petals. So a set is going to have 2 petals. So 2 rolls will do an 8-inch, it'll do a 10-inch, and it'll do a 12-inch, okay? So either way, it doesn't matter which size frame you have. If you have 2 rolls of mesh, maybe you want to use pink and yellow or orange and yellow, or maybe you have something else that you want to kind of put together. If you have 2 rolls, you should make it should work on either an 8-inch, a 10-inch, or a 12-inch, okay? So I know I'm kind of rambling here, but listen, make sure you hit that subscribe button and help me there, and click that notification bell. Join my email list. The link is in the description box below. Join me on Facebook, join my groups. If you've made it this far in the video, and I really appreciate it, I always tell you leave an emoji. Leave me a blue heart, okay? And if you leave me a blue heart, I know you watched till the end, and I appreciate that. I really do. All the links for everything I use will be in the description box below. Make sure to check those out. And until we see you next time, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.